What it do? Welcome into another episode of Pitch Me Your Thoughts podcast. It is the group madness as we're in the final days of group play. Simultaneous matches going on Sunday. The knockout round starts, and it still matters. United States, Turkey tonight, and yes, I want more. 3-0. Let's keep the party going. You watched Mexico celebrate last night, and to get to have a moment, that final send-off just to the round of 32. Hoping to see that tonight from the United States. I'm your talking head, JJ Buck. This is the box-to-box menace, Chris Wehan, joining me once again. Man, I been still trying to work and have a family life, but my goodness, it has been so much fun to just have like 12 hours of World Cup soccer on all day. It's been phenomenal.
Yeah, I don't think we could have predicted like a better start to this World Cup than we've had. What a joy it is to watch like all the games, the fans, the cultures integrating here in the US on our home soil. I think, people are getting a new perspective of the United States, a good perspective. So far, so good. And our soccer has been good. Can't complain about the way the US is playing right now.
It's been so much fun to watch the countries coming together, how these cities are embracing, whether it's, you saw Scotland take over Boston. You've seen the teams that are making the trek through the South, the social media darlings that have come out of this. It's been awesome. And just to see the crossover and then the energy in these stadiums outside of the United States games, which we knew there's going to be a pop. Like, I'm watching Ecuador and Germany at the half now, and that stadium in New York, New Jersey, MetLife Stadium, it is 90% yellow, I think, this afternoon. And just seeing these fan bases take over, we knew it was going to be good, but it's refreshing and to have those moments and just see the joy and the fandom that we're getting to take in.
It is refreshing, and I think I love to see it because I know how special this sport can be. But I think, I think always when the World Cup comes, people realize, oh wow, like this sport means a pretty big deal to a lot of people around the world. But I think now that it's here, you're seeing people are witnessing it here on their home soil. They are like, wow, my gosh, it really does mean something. It really is the world's game. It really is the most popular sport, bar none, in the world. And it's just awesome to see that take over the U.S. for a little bit. What a time it is for soccer in the U.S. I think we all knew it was going to come. I'm still curious to know what it means for soccer long term. But, hopefully more soccer games in NFL stadiums. Hopefully, Dallas is getting sold out, for soccer games from here on out. Maybe outside of just Messi, maybe there's a couple MLS games that get moved to SoFi Stadium. Maybe we can get to a place where Galaxy LAFC sells out SoFi rather than just for this one occasion. But it is so cool to see how people are reacting to this tournament. And I think certainly yesterday was another massive moment. I saw videos of Mexico fans all over the place. Mexico fans just walk around the grocery store in their jerseys, and they're off to a good start as well. So it's been, I would say, but all three of the teams that are hosting this World Cup have shown well. Canada had a little slip, but no, it's been awesome World Cup, and I think all three countries have got to be pleased so far.
And Canada finishing second in Group B behind Switzerland. So they're going to have to come down to the United States for their round of 32 game against one of the surprising stories, South Africa, seeing them go through and beat Korea, who pretty disappointing showing for them in that group. And there's still so many scenarios on the board that are in play of who's going to play what. But we know, a good chunk of the teams that are qualified going to the knockout rounds. And I was unsure of if we're still going to get enough drama, with the 48 team field and knowing that it's the top two from each group plus 8 third place finishers. But I haven't felt a letdown. I think, it helps when you have the Cape Verde story or Ghana the other day against England, like being able to draw against powerhouses, just showing a way to stay in the game. I haven't felt that in terms of the group play games. There's been a couple, it was Canada putting up 6, Germany putting up 7. But overall, that there's been a watering down of the product with the field expanded.
Yeah, not at all. Not at all. I think that's kind of where this World Cup is interesting so far. Certainly, Brazil had a good result yesterday, but it was still kind of, things were given to them a little bit. I think it was more Scotland playing bad. Obviously, Germany had a good run of form. France played well, Argentina, but yeah, I think for the most part, there's no clear front runner. There's still, Morocco is still very much a solid team. You know that they're going to be a tough team to play against. I think the U.S. has established themselves as a team that I don't think even these powerhouses, I think Germany 6 months ago facing a U.S. in a knockout stage game would feel fairly comfortable. I think now they're not going to feel comfortable. And so I think there's a lot of teams like that everyone kind of feels, yeah, there are the powerhouses, but everyone has their moment. And certainly some of our best teams, England, France, at times they put together, maybe a poor half, but everyone is just one poor game away from having a bad result. And you never know who that dark horse could be at this point in the tournament.
Well, even with that spot clinched in the round of 32, United States, Turkey 8 tonight, I want to see 3-0. I want to see the United States show the depth of this federation, what Mauricio Pochettino has been able to do. We know for sure it's come out. He's not going to be starting the players on yellow cards. That makes a ton of sense. We don't need to see Tyler Adams, Belungan, Chris Richards, or Anthony Robinson tonight. Don't risk them at all for the knockout game. But where this team sits, and I didn't want to have to see it happen, but I was excited to see how this team would respond playing without Christian Pulisic. Going back to that Australia game last week. And to me, I think that was a big moment for the United States to not have Pulisic on the field, to see other players step up to score two. And again, it was pressure leading to an own goal. See Alex Freeman step up off a set piece, to see them hold a clean sheet. How much can that team take from that performance without Pulisic to carry on the rest of this tournament?
Yeah, it was a great point, JJ. I think the biggest thing, at least for me, that I took away was that we can win in different scenarios. I think against Paraguay, we certainly displayed great attacking ability, phenomenal soccer play. Just going forward, we were very good. We were very fluid, ton of players getting forward. And the Australia game asked something completely different from us. Yes, we were going to have the ball, but Australia was going to make the game ugly and physical, and they were going to be dirty, and they're going to kick us after the play. They were going to try and get us to react emotionally. They knew they weren't going to be able to keep up with us from a soccer standpoint. So they went at us from a different angle, which was, kick our players off the ball, dirty challenges, very physical game, counterattacks. And we rose to the occasion. And I think that's the biggest thing that, we've established ourselves. We can win in different ways early on in this tournament. And that was what I think the U.S. has struggled with. We've always been a team, I think, at times throughout our history where we can keep the ball. We can play good possession. We can create chances. But when it really comes down to it, can we match the opponent for what the opponent gives to us? And that was my biggest thing I took away from the Australia match.
I'm with you. With the way we knew Australia was going to play, sit back, hold their lines, deep block, big old center backs back there. In the United States, the early pressure, the speed. I think with Flo Balogun's game, it's how he can get on the ball and create. And when he was stepping in those spots, we even saw it against Paraguay a little bit too, is after Christian Pulisic went out and he went wide a little bit more. It's really impressive to see the depth of his game and how he gets out there causing havoc. He can get inside. He can score around the goal with that touch. And, now's the time to nitpick just a little bit. And I know he's not going to play tonight, but I'd like to see a little more from someone else when it comes to the scoring. And is that okay with Pulisic on the field? Is that what we're going to see when this team has everyone out there in the round of 32? Because the creation, I'd like to see it come from one more person. Maybe that is also Malik Tillman. And I think he has been the player I've been most impressed with this tournament. I know probably diehard soccer people, knew how good he was, but I think he's announcing himself to the country, United States fans on this run, his set piece on the ball, and then his physicality. And I think he's been a really big presence, which has helped open up Weston McKennie a little bit, to where he can also be a guy that can show his ability to get forward and not just kind of have to sit there with Tyler Adams.
Yeah, he has been phenomenal so far this tournament. Like you said, he's big, he's tall, he's physical, and he's so good with the ball at his feet. He's so clever in 1v1 moments. He's so good at keeping possession of the ball. There's such a fluid sense of the U.S. right now, like just in the way they attack. Even, you got at times, and I think that's what's been so refreshing for me to see from Pochettino is we're not rigid. You can see it's not like Anthony Robinson attacks and Serginho Dest, you got to sit back, keep four at the back. It's like Robinson's getting forward, whipping a ball in, and like Dest is getting on the end of it, and Tillman's joining the attack, and McKennie, and even Adams at times. Like there's a fluid sense of like everyone get forward. And I think that's also why you're seeing the U.S. win the ball back high up the field, is because of how many numbers we're getting high up the field. At the same time, we can afford to do that because of our three center backs being so good, so strong, fast, maintaining possession of the ball as well high up the field. But yeah, Malik Tillman, I think his rise to the occasion for this tournament absolutely has freed up Weston McKennie, allowed him to play a different role, more of a free 10 role, float around the field. I think McKennie is such a complimentary player. I think when at times we put a lot of pressure on him to kind of be our guy, I don't think he is that player. He's not the 10. He's not your Pulisic that's going to beat guys on the dribble and he's going to have amazing moments, but I don't think he's the type of player that you can put all your marbles in his hand and say, win us the game. But I think with other players alleviating some pressure from him, he's going to shine, and Tillman has definitely rose to the occasion and done that for the U.S.
I think a big part of that is the athleticism the United States has in the back with Alex Freeman and Chris Richards, and the X work they have to put in. We've discussed how Tim Ream is going to be steady. He might get beat at times, but that's a lot on Freeman and Richards to be able to track back and be that last line of defense. What has stood out about how those guys have played when you talk about the United States? They're not scared, man. Like you said, you're pushing those guys up the wings, and it's a lot on those three in the back.
Yeah, I think the athleticism is certainly something that allows us to do that. I think Chris Richards and Freeman have shown exceptional athleticism. Obviously, Freeman's dad was a phenomenal athlete himself in the NFL, and that's why we've been able to afford to push numbers high up the field. I think I called it when we spoke about Chris Richards prior to game one, and you asked me what we're going to say, what I'm going to look for in Chris Richards, just going to be connecting his passes. I think in the Paraguay game, I think he went 83 for 83 or 63 for 63 or something in terms of
passing. It was 83 for 83.
Yeah, just unbelievable. So it's not just that they're phenomenal athletes. Like you can rely on them in so many different regards. Chris Richards is going to win the ball in the air. He's going to be fast. He's going to be able to stick with players that run in behind. He's good at 1v1 defending, and he can play with the ball at his feet. And he's just simple. I think all three of them are just simple. They know their role. Get the ball to the rest of the team. Let them attack. Get the ball wide to Dest or Robinson. Get the ball into the midfield. Let them do their thing, and they're just going to do their role. And everyone has bought into the culture and what Pochettino is trying to implement on the field, and I think that's why we're seeing our success.
The starting 11 is legit. We saw them win without Pulisic in the lineup. What could tonight mean for the substitutes? Because one or two of these players is going to have a bigger role, whether it's in around a 32, if they're able to win that game and move forward. We're talking about Sebastian Bullhalter, Gio Reyna, even Ricardo Pepe, who started last game. And what are you looking for from those guys? Once we see the starting lineup announced tonight, of the confidence that they can have and what you want to see from some of these players.
The biggest thing is going to be, in an ideal scenario, obviously we see a ton of goals. And what I mean by that is We see Gio Reyna on the score sheet. We see Pepe on the score sheet. We see our attacking players that haven't gotten a lot of minutes do things offensively because one, that's going to give them an argument to Pochettino to say, I should be playing. Look what I can do. I should be playing more. Two, it's going to give a lot of confidence to themselves that they can produce, especially if you've been maybe on the bench for the first couple games. Obviously, Gio Reyna scored a phenomenal goal against Paraguay, so he has that confidence, that swagger. But from the other guys, if they can go out and produce something, an assist or a goal, it gives them that confidence to know that they can do it if they haven't seen the field in the last couple games. And then, I think the best problem a soccer team can have is when everyone's producing, because if everyone's producing, if there's 15 players that have an argument to the coach of why am I not playing? I just scored last game, or I got an assist, or I scored 2 goals. That's the best problem a coach can have, because he's got to make that tough decision. And it's not like, oh my gosh, who am I going to play? We don't have anyone. It's who am I going to play? We've got 15 guys that I feel like could start. That's a good problem. And then, we never know what knockout games are going to produce. What's the scenario is going to be. We may be losing 2-1 in the 80th minute, and we need to put on our attacking players. So we want to have that confidence that we're putting someone on that can produce for us in this tournament.
Be interesting tonight to just see how this team plays. And I think what is coming from the United States, Pochettino, throughout this week is they know they've clinched, but they're not satisfied. And I like that attitude. This is a World Cup. Like, you never want to give up points. And I think watching the other games as well, you see teams that even if a draw gets them through, they're going out there trying to get 3 points. Like, we've seen teams be aggressive, and that's what you want on the biggest stage, is to attack the moment. And I think we'll see the United States do that tonight against Turkey. And another thing in this FIFA World Cup is, they're following through with some of these rule changes and pace of play, what they've talked about in terms of goal kicks, throw-ins, and the refs not stopping play. If it's a serious injury, it's a head injury, they're going to stop it. But we've seen them kind of leave it up to the players. They're not blowing that quick whistle. Yeah, you might have got tagged. You might have got kicked on the shin. It doesn't feel good. But if you're there rolling around and they don't feel it's a serious injury, they're going to let the game play on. I felt like the game's a little bit faster. The game's a little bit cleaner in terms of players realizing, hey, I got to get up and get back. Or my team's in the attack now. They're not slowing down waiting for me, wanting to bring the ball back because there was a foul. As a player, you watch it, the way they've refed it, the way they're trying to keep things going. What have you thought about it?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think they have been consistent for the most part. I think there was the argument of Bellingham, I think, with the hands over his mouth when we had seen the red card the previous night. That was the biggest disagreement that I saw. But I think for the most part, I don't know if right now is maybe the best time to implement some of these rules. I wish I would have seen them maybe come a year sooner, like during, a gold cup and, Euros or other things, because anytime there's big rule changes, the players are going to have time to adjust. So, but I think it's good for the game. Overall, I think it's good for the game. I think, the time wasted on throw-ins, on goal kicks, especially when you're winning or players going down. A lot of the South American teams or Central American teams, everyone's injured when they're winning 2-1 in the 80th minute. Everyone's taking they're going down and stuff. So it's great to see that they're speeding that part of the game up. I love that substitutes can't walk off the field and clap the fans for 5 minutes and take their shin guards off. It's like, get off the field, or the sub's gonna have to wait for a couple minutes. I think obviously the covering the mouth rule, I think, is great for the game. I don't think we should see it, but I was a bit frustrated because I was watching such a good game between Paraguay and Turkey, and the red card absolutely changed the game. Thankfully, it didn't change the result for Paraguay, but just things like that. I think that's where I was like frustrated on the implementation of it, because if players have been doing that for years, it's not that he said anything bad to the play. Who knows what he said, but I think it's just a habit to do that. and to say something. And so I think overall they're good. What about you, JJ, from your fan perspective? Like, what do you think of the rule changes?
I think the covering the mouth one, it's kind of everyone's a creature of habit, and that's kind of a habit there for players. So I can understand that one with where you're coming from. And would you have liked a little bit more run up to the World Cup before changing that? Sure, but I think the other things of goal kick, throw in, like that's just pace of play. Like you don't necessarily need a whole Gold Cup or Nations League to figure that out. It's like you can see a ref counting. Like it's just like the game of basketball and inbounds. You know, they're right there. They're not going to surprise you. You can see, and then once they hit that number, they're blowing it. And I haven't seen a lot of that change, even in the second game or going in the third game. Like I think the players have adjusted to that. They realize, all right, let's keep the game going. And yes, you'll find your ways, as we've discussed, to see out games. And I think one of the points that's been brought up a lot on the broadcast, and it's we want the goal kicks and we want the throw-ins to be faster. But man, those corner kicks, those free kicks are taking just like, are we going to talk about the time spent on those?
It's a good point. That's a good point. Like if you're leading, you should obviously the team that's down is going to go somewhat quickly. But if you're leading, yeah, some of those offensive opportunities should go a little bit quicker. I agree. Yeah, and I felt like at times, you know, there was like the Paraguay game. I think, for instance, like the ref lost a bit of control of the game, and so implementing some of those rules, he wasn't necessarily saying, you know, okay, your goal kick is now a corner kick. He was trying to get them to play faster, and it felt a little chaotic. And both teams are arguing. But yeah, I think overall, I think all the sports are across. You know, baseball's sped up. You know, soccer definitely. There's so much wasted time, and it just makes the game, I think, quote unquote, more equal when we get the same amount of time to play the game.
With the hydration break, I know from a fan's perspective, they feel that this is just kind of a Fox money grab. That's been a lot of it. Of okay, you know, they're going to play the commercials. You're watching on Fox. Everyone's saying that's why I'm watching on Telemundo, because there's no commercials. They just show what's going on the sideline. There's ad aspect to it. I understand why hydration breaks are there, but then when you're in a climate controlled stadium inside, it's not 100 degrees, you're still taking the hydration break. I guess I can see the point of, if you're going to be doing it, just kind of make it universal. But from a player's perspective, having that break come, you know, 23, 25 minutes into the game, going to the sideline, getting the instruction, what does that do from a player standpoint?
I think from a player standpoint, it's absolutely a window that the players they're starting to recognize. They're starting to look at the clock, like we're under it. Like, okay, let's get to the hydration break. You know, because that was the thing before. Okay, let's get to halftime and then we'll regroup and let's talk through some things. And that's what's happening at the hydration break. And I don't know who said it, but someone on the broadcast said, I think maybe Jurgen Klopp actually said it. He said, it takes them 30 seconds to get water. What are we doing spending 3 minutes taking a water break? And I completely agree with that. Like, come to the sideline, get your water, and then walk back out. You know, that should be maybe a minute, enough time to get to the sideline, drink your water, and walk back. Because now it's just turned into a tactical break. And you're seeing how good some of these teams are with utilizing that. Like the Brazil-Scotland game changed yesterday. Absolutely. Once the water break happened, Scotland was a different team. Played with a little bit of a different intensity, a different mentality. It's almost, I don't know, maybe it's not so much tactics and more of just like a chance to catch your breath, and like the momentum dies, or it's shifted a lot. I think it's definitely a money grab.
It especially when it's 3 minutes. Right?
Yeah.
It's not just come over, hydrate, take a quick breath, get out there. You know, we're seeing the commercials played on the Fox telecast, and if it's there, you have to find a way to take advantage of it. Just like you said, if it's going to be a part of the game, utilize it, make it to your advantage right now. I think for soccer fans, this is not something you're going to have to worry about too much moving forward. We'll see what happens in the next World Cup. I think major tournaments potentially, but I don't see this being something that, the MLS starts implementing. You see in Premier League games at all. But you never say never. with certain things, especially if it's money involved when it comes to these broadcast deals. But it absolutely is. It's like calling timeout in a basketball game or in a football game. You can stop that momentum,
Yeah.
and it's a 10-0 run for the other team. You call a timeout, reset, and it is big because I know that's something I've talked with coaches about. I'm sure you have. It, you're in a game and you see something and you can't really rely it to your team the way you'd want in the pace, in the pace of play when it's going on, and you're like, oh, we just got to get to halftime to reset it. But now you have these in both halves too, the hydration breaks that absolutely play a factor here. And kind of with you, I do think it's more for the commercial break. But again, if it's there, everyone can take advantage of it. And that's the thing. You might not like it, but everyone has to learn to advantage it for their side.
Yeah. And you know that these teams are so the resources, the knowledge behind these teams, not just from the coaching standpoint, but from the sports psychologists, the trainers, the nutritionists, like they know they're dialing in like what do we do during that hydration. It's not just you know psychologically what do we do, how do we speak to them, how do we get the message across, what are we feeling them with. It's not just water, whatever gels or some type of food or a different type of fluid. It's all dialed in, and that they're exploring ways to continue to break through that. So it's interesting how it will, some teams will continue to utilize it to their benefit, I'm sure.
All right, we're seeing that the superstars absolutely shine in the brightest way on this World Cup stage. The Golden Boot race got Messi with 5 goals, all the nets for Argentina, Mbappe, Holland, Vinny Jr., all sitting on 4 goals. And of course, you got to win to stay in the tournament and to keep scoring goals. Who comes out with the Golden Boot? Who lasts the longest and gets the trophy?
It's got to be Messi, right? It's got to be Messi. I think Argentina, we spoke about it at the beginning of the tournament. They just play with like him on a pedestal and in such a unique way, the way they fight for him. And I do see them continuing to go far into the tournament. I think the further they go, he's going to continue to be scoring for them. I think Holland obviously is one of the best goal scorers in the world, but I don't think that you even heard him say playing against France, that I don't care about the
A little
game.
mind game, I think, too, from Holland.
Definitely a little mind game, but they're through. They don't care about the game, and he said France is probably going to win. So, yeah, I think certainly Messi and Mbappe are going to be fighting for the Golden Boot. JJ, I'm curious, some players are talking about the ball. Do you think that's played a factor in goals being scored or the play? Or I'm curious if you know spend much time thinking about that.
Well, as someone that, wish they could bend the ball like you guys do at times, I'm running around playing, rec league soccer or indoor soccer. If multiple people are talking about it, you have to listen. That's one where I sit back and go, okay, what is everyone else saying? And the sensor in the ball, the spin of a ball. I know goalkeepers have been talking about it, and players probably feel it differently because I know everything is particular. Kind of the way you set up a ball, where you want to strike it, maybe where that valve is. Is it something that you noticed as a player watching some of these shots?
I didn't notice it until Kasper Schmeichel said, look at the way some of these goals are being scored. And, from his point of view, which I would have never thought of it, he said goalkeepers should have been able to react to that or save that, or they got a hand on it. But typically they would make that save. It must be that the ball is getting to them that much quicker. So, yeah, maybe I think that there's a point to that. I'm sure that the ball, the way it's designed, is maybe just coming off the foot just a fraction faster, and it's harder to adjust for the goalkeeper. So, yeah, I think, but I'm not complaining. I'd rather see tons of goals than more saves. That's for sure.
And we've seen some great stuff both ways in this tournament. We've seen some really impressive draws with the way teams have defended. We've seen some big scoring outputs. Like, how about this, man? Pull this up. Ecuador up 2-1 right now on Germany in the 81st minute. So that's talking about those final results. Ecuador, they win, they move on, and let's get into it, man. Let's talk about as we see group stage play wrap up over the next 3 days. I just want to go teams that you think could win? Your top tier teams could win the World Cup.
I'm biased. I think definitely Argentina can win the World Cup. I think right now I would say it's between Argentina and France. I haven't seen enough from Brazil to say that they would win this World Cup. I think, gosh, Mexico. I think they've pretty much clinched, a path within Mexico, right? As far as I understand it, and man, those fans, I think it's going to be a real game changer for them. I can see them going far in the tournament. I can't see them winning the tournament. But really, for me, it's between Argentina and France, I think, in terms of teams that have established themselves early on as teams that could win the tournament. We already know those two. For me, I haven't seen enough from Brazil, and I haven't seen enough from England, and I haven't seen enough from Germany to be able to say that they're going to be contenders to win the tournament. But as Jurgen Klopp said the other day as well, I don't think there's been a team that's gone through the entirety of a World Cup and it's won all its games. He said it's very hard to win all your games, and I think that's a very valid point. So if you're going to lose a game or tie a game, it might as well be in the group stage.
Oh, absolutely, because you're not going home there most likely. If you're able to get punch your ticket after the first two games. All right, my title favorites: France, Argentina, and Spain. And I still think Spain, with Yamal continuing to get healthy, has just such a dynamic midfield and attack with the veteran defenders. Those are my top three teams. The teams that get hot, watch out: Brazil, England, Portugal, and Germany. There's a lot of talent there, but there's question marks for me. Even you're watching not just Germany today, because they put up 7 on Curacao, which okay, but you watch them against Ivory Coast. I think Ivory Coast is really good, but they were behind in that game. They needed 2 goals to win. So to me, there's absolutely some question marks, but there's enough talent there. They get hot, it gets going, and then the dark horse for me, of course, the United States and Mexico are in that group. Just the energy, getting to play at home, put yourself in a great position going into the round of 32 against the United States, looking at potentially Bosnia and Herzegovina. Just, hey, catch the breaks. That's what you have to do. Put yourself in the right position. And Netherlands and Norway, because Norway, it's not Messi like, but they play a way that it sets up Haaland to be the best version of himself, to be that menace in front of the net, to just find a way to score. His presence, I think they are buying into that. You rally around him. You saw them put up 3 against Senegal in the game where they just needed all the offense. They're able to create it. He dropped the brace on them. And I think Netherlands is a team that a lot of attacking quality. You have, Virgil van Dijk in the back, just that veteran established center back. So those would be like my dark horse teams that if things break right for them, they could get going. And when it comes to players stepping up, a lot of people, and I'm one of them, before we get out of here, Cristiano Ronaldo, eat a little bit of crow. Now, it was against Uzbekistan, but we watched a different player. And it's not just, teams adjusting. We watched one of the best players in the world. Maybe he's not at that level, but he's been one of the best goal scorers of our generation. Look awful in that first game. He was just standing at the top of the 18. Portugal was just trying to lob crosses into him. There was not a lot of build-up play. They looked awful. They come out. Yes, it's a different opponent, but there were some lineup changes, the way they built up. And guess what? Ronaldo was running into different areas. He was running into some space. Even the way he set up Mendes on the free kick goal, where he was there, he faked, Mendes runs up, puts in the back of the net. Like, we saw a completely different Ronaldo. And if he plays like that, that's how Portugal gets hot.
Yeah, definitely. JJ, you made some big time picks and some good mentions there. Spain definitely, but yeah, Ronaldo, he's back, right? He's back. I mean, the debate was getting out of hand because of how good Messi's been playing. But did we ever think he wasn't gonna rise to the occasion and try something different or crumble under the quote unquote pressure that I'm sure he doesn't feel? Because he's been doing it for so long. And of course, I really respected the way that that the Portuguese coach came out and said, like, take Ronaldo. Why would I? He's the best goal scorer, ever for Portugal. Why would I take him off the field? So I think, that belief, and certainly I think everyone in that locker room looks up to him and admires him. And it's no surprise that he found the back of the net a couple times. And yeah, I agree with you. I think if he, I think in the first game, it was definitely him trying very hard to score. And I think in this last game, yes, he got his goal, but also like for Ronaldo to step into a free kick and back away from it and let his teammates strike it, I think that's a big sign to say that, he's playing a different type of role as well. And if he does that, then they're going to be a tough team to contend with as well.
Can't wait to break it down again on the next episode when we're talking about knockout round soccer, round for 32. But we want to go 3-0. 3-0, take out Turkey and keep that momentum going. Final thoughts, Chris, just on the United States, what you want to see from them tonight, and then what that, regardless of the result, the momentum that they built to take into that round of 32.
Yeah, let's see a 4-0 win. Let's see all our front three and Reina get on the score sheet. Let's see a Tim Weah goal. Let's see a Pepe goal. Let's see a Berhalter long range goal. Let's have a good win tonight, and let's continue this momentum for the U.S. What a time it is to be a U.S. fan, and hopefully that continues tonight.
Well, we definitely believe. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Pitch Marathon podcast. Chris Ween and JJ Buck, and thank you very much.